Hello YouTube, this is Agent here with another Call of Duty Zombies video. In this video I'm going to be talking about my hopes for the Apocalypse DLC and what's been going on my channel recently, because there's been a few questions surrounding what I've been doing. So to address that, most of you probably want to know what the hell has been going on with my channel yesterday when I uploaded about 40 videos in the space of 5 minutes. Absolutely all of them seem to be completely the same or part of a series. Now, this was a one-off event caused by a series that I was recording in the Wargame side of my channel, and I had played through the campaign and pre-recorded it, but that playthrough was forced to a premature end when my save file got corrupted. So I put up the first playthrough basically for those who wanted to see my initial reaction, because obviously I wanted to upload the videos for them to see, but if I uploaded them as a series, then that would cause confliction with the second playthrough. So I decided to put the first playthrough up all at once, and then the second playthrough will be going up every night, just as Wargame videos have been. Pretty much it's a best of a bad situation. I tried to warn people with a video about it, but then that was under the Wargame category, so most people who weren't interested in it wouldn't have watched it anyway. And I tried to post something in my feed, but then not everyone checks the feeds. So that's why it would have come as a surprise to most people. Now, onto the topic at hand, Origins. Obviously the pre-release promotion around it, the diary entries, the trailers, has been top notch, and it's really painted the picture for a final send-off to Black Ops 2. But what do we really want to see in this map? And first of all, what I'd like to see in La Tombeau is a properly difficult map. If we look back to Black Ops 1, maps such as Ascension were categorized as easy maps, primarily because they had easy spots to train and survival was quite easy. But when you compare that to Black Ops 2, Black Ops 2 did easy on an entirely different level, with the addition of the bank, the weapons locker, the ability to earn multiple perk bottles very early on in the game, which meant you could set yourself up incredibly early in a game compared to what you were restricted to in Black Ops 1, which meant that Black Ops 2 took zombies to an entirely new degree of easiness. Now, the hardest map in Black Ops 2, in my opinion, so far has been Nuketown Zombies, which was challenging because it restricted the perks and the pack-a-punch machine, and it was random, so you could get perks like Juggernog in later rounds. Now, while hard maps have typically not been very popular with the community, such as Shangri-La and 5, I'd love to see a map in Black Ops 2 have an actual challenge to it. Mob the Dead comes close because it's very tricky to set up on that map, because there's a lot of stuff you have to do. You have to manage your afterlives efficiently and progress through the map. But once you're set up, it's relatively easy to survive, because there's so many things you can do that give you so many rewards, like the Golden Spork, the Hell's Redeemer, the Blundergats. There's so many things that you can do to set yourself up for a very easy gameplay if you so wish. Now, the map itself is typically quite challenging for a Black Ops 2 map, but I still feel it's relatively easy overall. And I'd really like a map that is constantly challenging, because it gives you a sense of achievement if you get to later rounds, rather than just thinking, oh, I played this map for quite a bit because I've got to round 20, 30, 40. I'd love to actually bring back the pride in getting to a round like that, like, oh, I got to round 30 on this map. That's an achievement rather than a waste of time. And Origins, with its trench environment, the multiple special enemies, you've got the Giant and the Diesel Drone, and this map has a lot of potential to be a very difficult map if they design it to be so. And I hope they do that, because I would like to have at least one map in Black Ops 2 where I go in thinking, this is going to be difficult. Another thing I hope will be done well in Origins is the atmosphere of the map. I find that every Zombies map should have its own unique atmosphere, that as soon as you enter the map you can identify that atmosphere. For example, Shangri-La was a very sort of bright but intense jungle, compared to Shinonuma's more dark and drab swamp, or Buried, which had its sort of brown and dusty feel to it, like everything felt really dusty because of the sort of atmosphere of the map. And each map should have a tone that instantly sets it apart from all the others. And from what I've seen in the trailer, the atmosphere of La Tombeau is very similar to that of Mob of the Dead, a sort of dark blue, stormy, moody kind of atmosphere, I guess you could say. Now, obviously the similarity is understandable because they've both been created by the campaign team, but I hope when you play La Tombeau, its atmosphere is distinct, because I think each map should have its own... It's very hard to describe, but sort of feel to it, like just the color scheme, maybe the particle effects, the textures used in the walls, to sort of create this atmosphere that each map has, and each map is completely distinct from the others, and you just don't get that atmosphere in other maps. And I hope they continue this, because if it feels too similar to Mob of the Dead, that is good, because it allows you to identify which maps they've done, and that's a sign of good design when you play the map and you recognize which team has done this. But I hope at the same time it's distinct. Also, Origins will feature dynamic weather, changing between clear skies, rain, heavy snow, and most worryingly of all, fog, which they didn't show in the trailer, funnily enough. Now, I'm sure we all remember Call of the Dead's dynamic weather, which changed between a snowstorm and heavy fog mixed in with a snowstorm, and I'm fairly sure barely anyone actually liked that feature. So I hope they don't repeat their mistake here by making this sort of weather system where it's basically everyone's just wishing for it to be over and done with and go back to the clearest possible option, because that's easier. Now, for perks in La Tombeau, despite me singing its praises in Buried, I don't want to see Mule Kick returning as a perk. Without the safety net of the Tombstone PPE guaranteeing that you keep your weapons when you downed, again it's become an expensive inconvenience that I doubt many players would buy, and I just don't want to see it return. It's been quite a few maps in Black Ops 2, I think we've all had enough of it. I'd like to see Stamina return. I know it's been in Transit where it was supposed to be in, and then in Buried, which it sort of just felt like a bit of an irrelevant perk to throw into Buried because it didn't really justify it. But if La Tombeau is as big as it seems, and some heavy weapons like the new key are in the map that you want to use, a little speed boost would be appreciated to get around the big map. So I hope to see Stamina return. Another perk I'd like to see return, aside from the obvious ones that always are in the maps like the original 4, and this is controversial, but I'd like to see PhD Flopper return. With the removal of Mustang and Sally, because we're switching starting pistols, the threat of the ray gun being too powerful being neutered by the fact that there's the ray gun Mark II in the map now, so there's no worry about the ray gun. There's also the apparent lack of verticality, but the map seems a very flat map if you exclude the giant, and then also, because of the trenches, it's a very enclosed environment of the map. It seems like the perfect combination for PhD being a balanced perk, not too powerful, because you can't just use a Mustang and Sally to automatically get yourself out of a dangerous situation, but not too redundant, because explosives could very easily become useless, I think, in Origins, because it's so enclosed. So with the splash damage, they'd become useless quite quickly. But I think with PhD, it would be a nice complement. Also, the two powerful special zombies have ranged attacks, either the diesel drone's flamethrower or the giant whatever it does. I'm pretty sure it can attack you in more ways than just stepping on you. Like, I mean, we've already seen it's got a gun turret in its head, so I'm sure it has some way of attacking you. And a specialist perk to immunize yourself against them to some degree probably would be appreciated by most players, and PhD could fit this quite well just to protect you against these specific zombie threats. Finally, I'm going to talk about the Easter egg. As the last map of Black Ops 2, I'm expecting a spectacular send-off at the end of the Easter egg to the storyline, of a scale at least as impressive, if not more so, than the shattering of the Earth and Moon. But I don't want to see Treyarch concentrating on the end game onto itself, as they seem to do in Buried. For example, on Mob of the Dead, the atmosphere and the backstory of the map was really brought to life by lots of little things, like the ciphers on the walls, the comic page fragments, the multiple musical Easter eggs. I mean, I know Moon had that as well, and I'd like to see that return rather than just one song, have several with different activation means, not just the hits button next to 3 random things on the map. Also, I'd like to see the steps of the Easter egg have a logical progression and a plot to them, like Richtoven's grand scheme in Moon, where he slowly took control of the base and opened up the MPD, rather than a series of random and seemingly pointless but annoying tasks that Treyarch Easter eggs seem to have come to, like stepping on tiles on particular parts of the map, or shooting practice targets that randomly teleport into the map. Like, these seem to be random tasks that are added just to be difficult, rather than actually having a story in themselves, which then explains how the Easter egg came to be a part, so that the Easter egg is a story in itself, not just the ending. I'd like to see that on a map, because that really brought the Moon Easter egg to life for me. But whatever Origins brings us, I'm looking forward to it, because frankly, my entire perspective on what Black Ops 2 Zombies Legacy will be dependent on it, because Although we've had the masterpiece that was Mob of the Dead, it was a brilliant map, we've also had a lot of other tripe in Black Ops 3 like Transit and Buried, and Buried was a decent map, but it got boring very quickly because of all these crutches that are in the game at the moment. It got boring very quickly, which was quite disappointing, but that's it. So those are my thoughts on the future of the map and what was going on my channel. This has been Agent. Thank you very much for watching, and goodbye.